That's not true. I'm talking about...
That is true. I mean, what I just said is true.
I'm not quite sure where you're getting your statistics from, and you choose
from
to
the federal government.
You choose to interpret
from
them
the
in your...
Bureau of Justice Statistics and
Can I
Department of
talk?
Homeland Security.
Can I talk? Is that
well,
okay?
you said you didn't know where I got my statistics from, and I'm telling you where I get them from.
Well, it would have been nice if you could have let me finish my sentence. Anyway,
I was answering your question.
And there are instances where racism does exist, obviously exists, but when you conflate issues and just call everything racism or sexism, it's hard for people to take those beliefs super serious.
In your talk, which you claim support the idea that illegal immigrants are dangerous or criminals.
I cited a number of statistics that show that they commit federal crimes at a significantly higher rate than native-born Americans. Yeah.
Okay. So what role do you think that structural racism and inherent bias has to play in those statistics?
I don't think that the people who enter this country illegally are forced to do so by some sort of systemic racism. There's no systemic American racist going down to El Salvador and saying, you better get up and sneak into the United States. And there's nobody in the United States who forces people who come here illegally.
So if you guys don't know, this is Michael Knowles going against a professor, a college professor on illegal immigration. It's crazy that this debate is still happening because people try to frame being against illegal immigration as if it's this big moral thing, when in reality it's more so a law, like a lawful thing. And the fact that if you don't know who's coming into a country, that is just objectively dangerous. But here we are in 2025 having these debates. So let's not waste any more time, get right into it.
To commit crimes. I think the premise of this question is actually quite offensive, though it's a popular assumption, which is that illegal aliens somehow don't have free will. It's the assumption that illegal aliens are somehow morally uneducated. They have no sense of right and wrong. They have no ability to control their emotions and their impulses. This is obviously profoundly racist and not true. We have free will. We have the ability to do what we want to do. This is why, by the way, the majority of Hispanic people in the United States and Hispanic voters oppose illegal immigration. The races are exactly the same. The ethnicity is exactly the same. The question of crime is different because race does not determine your criminality.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people of color are more likely to be convicted of crimes unfairly than white people.
They're more likely to commit certain crimes, that's true. I don't think that's because of their race. I think it's because of aspects of their free will and perhaps of culture.
That's not true. I'm talking about...
That is true. I mean, what I just said is true.
I'm not quite sure where you're getting your statistics from, and you choose
from
to
the federal government.
You choose to interpret
from
them
the
in your...
Bureau of Justice Statistics and
Can I
Department of
talk?
Homeland Security.
Can I talk? Is that
well,
okay?
you said you didn't know where I got my statistics from, and I'm telling you where I get them from.
Well, it would have been nice if you could have let me finish my sentence. Anyway,
I was answering your question.
So this is getting a little wild. So what she's saying is this: people of color are more likely to be convicted of crimes that they did not do, meaning that they are innocent and they did not commit the crimes. They are more likely to be convicted than, I guess she's comparing them to white people in this example. Here's another statistic though. And these are just facts. I'm not trying to pick a side. I swear I'm not. People of color do, by percentages, commit more violent crimes in America. And the reason I bring up that statistic is because if you're a police officer and you are in an area with a high likelihood of homicides and that area is predominantly black, there is a high chance you will arrest the wrong person if there's a lot of homicides in that area. Because that's how arrests work. If you are arrested and you are not guilty, you are free to go. If you are arrested and you are guilty, you are not free to go. And in areas with aggressively high crime, the chances of you arresting the wrong person are just literally higher. It doesn't mean that cops are being racist or that they're discriminating against people. It's not even about color necessarily. This can be in any situation. If you are in a predominantly white area that has aggressively high murder rates, and you're just trying to get a murderer off the street, you're really just going out there trying to get people off the streets, you do have a higher likelihood of arresting the wrong person. So that's what happens when it comes to these statistics. The problem is this, though. People try to conflate these statistics to just pure systemic racism, and that's just not the truth. And there are instances where racism does exist, obviously. There are 100% instances where racism and sexism really exist. But when you conflate issues and just call everything racism or sexism, it's hard for people to take those beliefs super serious.
You are using your statistics for your own political agenda, and that's your prerogative.
I'm citing statistics because they're true.
I'm talking about the fact that I'm faculty here. I also support our protester in the back.
What do you support specifically? Do you think that anti-immigrant rhetoric is violent free speech?
Yes, because of the reasons
you think that
I'm
speech is
about.
violence?
No, I think that
that's what that sign says.
The conversation that you're having is oppressive.
So I am oppressing people by what I'm doing. So I am exerting violence on people by my speech. That's what the sign says, and that's what you just said.
It contributes to.
And the protester is saying that's exactly what I'm doing, and she's saying that's exactly what her sign means. So that means that you, a faculty member at an American public university, paid for by taxpayer dollars, are conflating speech with violence.
Yes. Speech can be violent. What you are saying contributes to systemic racism in this country. It means that my students of color are pulled over and accused of stealing a car when they did not.
I'm not pulling anybody over for stealing any cars. I see many people of many different races in this room. They all seem to be doing just fine. I don't think any of them have felt violence because they listened to a lecture on basic facts about our immigration system.
And here's the thing. A lot of what this professor is saying is statistically true. What I mean is that people of color, dark people, black people, are more likely to get pulled over for a car that they did not steal. That is an objective truth. But here's the thing. People need to start quantifying their statistics, meaning that just because they're more likely to be pulled over doesn't actually mean black people will literally get pulled over. For example, Earth is probably more likely to get hit with an asteroid than another planet. That does not mean that Earth will actually get hit with an asteroid. Meaning that just because something is more likely doesn't mean it happens often and doesn't mean it even happens at all. It just means that it's more likely. There are hundreds of thousands of arrests. What percentile do you think comes from people getting falsely pulled over that are people of color? Less than 1%. I can guarantee you that. So when you sprout these statistics, I just want people to understand that just because something is true doesn't mean that it's often, or doesn't even mean that it's a real threat to society the way that it's being framed to be.
The question was, have I asked people in this room if they've felt as though some violence has been committed on them? No, I haven't asked, because no violence has been committed on you. Because violence is not a subjective feeling. Violence is an objective fact. I can objectively gauge whether or not someone has become violent. The other day, I was at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Some protester attacked me with some weird chemical. That was an objective act of violence. But somebody disagreeing with me, such as some people in this room are doing, are not committing violence on me. And I would say to you, as a faculty member at a taxpayer-funded university, this is the foundation of liberal education. If you cannot understand that there is a difference between speech and violence, you don't understand anything that undergirds the liberal arts or liberal education. And that is a real shame. And I say this with all respect and with great distress for our universities. If our teachers don't understand the difference between ideas and violence, between speech and violence, then they are in no position to educate the next generation of Americans.
I've been to art school for 8 years. I understand liberal arts extremely well. I am an artist, and I fully
don't think you do. I'm sure you've been to art school for 8 years, but you do not understand the liberal arts.
holding up a sign which says, disrupting speech is fascism. You are
No, the sign says that one, disrupting speech.
Yeah.
But yes,
you understand?
Yes, these people who are yelling are disrupting my speech, and I agree, it's fascism.
You're interrupting me, and I think that you need to look up violence in the dictionary or expand your idea of violence.
Hold on, I'll look it up right now. Hold on. Hold on a second. Let me look it up. Let's see. Violence definition. Hold on. Violence definition. So you're saying that violence can be speech. Oh, my Wi-Fi went out. That's too bad. I'll look it up later. I'll post it on my Twitter. Violence is not speech. Let me say it again. Violence is not speech. Let me say it for all the professors in the room.
Yeah, violence is not speech. I will say, though, speech can lead to violence, but they are not inherently the same thing. Speech can lead to violence, but violence is not inherently speech. Nonetheless, I'm going to let the video end here. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.